Oh, hello and welcome back to Last Week Tonight, Week 3 edition, and I'm ready to be heard again. Before we get into these games, let's do a little speed round on the transfer window closing, get you all caught up. Arsenal picked up Spanish international Moreno, who should fit in perfectly in Mikel Arteta's system alongside Declan Rice and Martin Odegaard, and yeah, that signing makes a lot of sense. This could be the premier midfield for years to come in the Premier League. But their second signing, why? Raheem Sterling? I guess you guys need a little, you could always use some depth on the right wing, but like what has he done the last 4 years? Yeah, apparently Arsenal just have a kink for signing old washed Chelsea players. And we do not kink shame on this channel. No, we don't. Speaking of Chelsea, they brought back João Felix for some reason because he was so good the first time he was on your team that you just had to pay $50 million for him. Then on deadline day, kind of out of nowhere, they signed Jadon Sancho, who was like just been in a spat with Eric Ten Hag and Man United for the last year. And then they got Pedro Neto from Wolves, which brings their squad total up to 137. How the fuck are they buying all these players and are going to avoid financial fair play? I don't know. Like at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if we looked into the money room at Chelsea and it's just Saul Goodman just doing deals. Also, to my Europeans watching this, yeah, this is pretty much how Todd Boehly operates with the Dodgers as well, except they actually sign good players. Like they just signed Japanese Babe Ruth like 2 years ago, and he's worth it. But at Chelsea, you're just signing anyone who's talented, not like the Mbappes or the Erling Haalands of the world. So I don't know what you guys are really doing. And much like Chelsea, their policy with the Dodgers is they don't give a fuck about team chemistry or team dynamics. They just spend money. So at least, I mean, like, you have continuity here. You know that this is consistent throughout any sport. My only thought process in this is that if you have like a shotgun effect, and if you just sign every talented player on the planet, eventually you're gonna luck out. You guys got Cole Palmer, and if you perhaps sign the next Ronaldo or Messi, that lotto ticket will carry you to huge profit. Will this investment strategy work, or is it a money laundering scheme? I'd like to think it's the latter. It's funnier. Man United went ahead and finally got Manuel Ugarte from PSG, who is supposedly kind of an old school destroyer defensive midfielder and a welcome reinforcement because we've seen Casemiro and I love you, but he's, yeah, I think he'll be pretty good. He'll be an upgrade at that spot in the midfield. But the true question about the Ugarte signing is how long does it take for British commentators to mention that he has a fiery personality? Because they just can't help it. Anytime a white guy commentator, especially a British one, sees a Latin American player, they're just like, oh, it just bubbles to the top. It's like, I have to say fiery personality. And that first crunching tackle, boom, Peter Drury is going to go full Latin stereotype. And oh no, bro, I can't make this up. I can't. Look at Man United's pin tweet right now. This is their pin tweet right now. At the top is 2 emojis. It's the Uruguayan flag and the fire emoji. Just the admin. The admin at Man United was like, Latin American player, fire, done. Emoji, done. Listen, I'm not even mad at it. I'm not even mad at it. You guys can't help yourselves. What are we gonna do? It's like white people in the Midwest and fentanyl. It's gonna happen. Manchester City welcome back Ilyan Gundogan after his 1-year vacation in Barcelona. Like they needed more reinforcements in the Dodgers squad, but you know Pep Guardiola is probably fucking over the moon. He is jerking off in that bald locker room of his. But yeah, he's happy Gundogan's back. For my Americans who are unfamiliar, for some reason, Ilyan Gundogan always transforms and helps clutch out silverware. Liverpool, after a very disappointing transfer window, got Chiesa from Juventus for like an old PS3 that they had laying around. Like dirt cheap. I'm looking at it like, what the fuck is this deal? Juve must have wanted him desperately off the books. Or my theory, the juicier theory is, this guy definitely f***ed some guy's daughter. You know, gave her that old Italian salami. And they had to ship him out. Because he was like the next big thing in Italy a couple of years ago. And now shipped off for 2 cents over to Liverpool. Can't fault Liverpool. Good deal. Even if he's shit, he costs pennies. So yeah, no lose situation for them. And then maybe the most curious transfer of the entire window, Ivan Toney. A player who off the top of my head could probably be an upgrade for every Premier League team except for Manchester City. He goes to Saudi Arabia, to a team called Al Ahly. And where the fuck did this come from? This team in the Saudi League has a front three of Roberto Firmino, Ivan Toney, and Riyad Mahrez, which is better than probably like 90% of the teams in the Premier League. Which is perplexing to me to why no one in the Premier League actually bought this guy. He's incredible. And he's always going to be your penalty taker. And then I really thought about it, and then it totally made sense. The Saudis probably let him bet on anything. So I can't be mad at that. Kids, go where you belong, or where you feel you belong, you know? But yeah, all in all, kind of a strange transfer window. No super big blockbuster moves besides maybe like Mbappe going over to Real Madrid, but that was on a free. And specifically for the Premier League, it seems like it's more, let's just hold formation for now and see what Pep does before we, really open up the bank account. But anyway, that was Warp Speed catch you up on all the transfers that went down. Now, let's get into week 3 of these fucking games. Before we get into that, like FIFA, I gotta pay my bills. Hey guys, you know I'm Fat Asian. And with the Premier League starting back up and the NFL here, you know what's gonna happen. You're gonna get lazy and succumb to that $45 order of Uber Eats. But not I. No. For I to get skinny to fit into my Deadpool costume for Halloween. And what's gonna help this Fat Asian become the Skinny Asian is today's sponsor, Factor Meal Plans. Listen, I've been on this keto kick since the start of summer, and it's helped me lose 10 pounds. And with Factor, it just takes the stress out of deciding what to eat after I do my workouts. Because let me tell you, fuck cooking, fuck groceries, fuck cleaning up after yourself. With Factor, you get fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. And when you're feeling a bit peckish, pop a few holes in that bitch, microwave for 2 minutes, and you're eating. And you're eating good. Which leaves you and me more time to sit your ass back on that couch and enjoy all that sport goodness. And with 35 selections and 60 add-ons every week, you'll never get bored. And if you want to add a little fancy pants to your life, go ahead and check out their Gourmet Plus selections. Get a little surf and turf, or my personal favorite, the filet mignon with the broccolini. You might be thinking, okay, reheated filet mignon? No. Trust me, I got it down to a science. 2 minute, 32 seconds, juicy as hell. So if you want to streamline your life, you owe it to yourself to try out at least one box of Factor. So head over to Factor75.com and use the code FATAsian50 to get 50% off your first box, as well as 20% off your next month of orders. The link is in the top of the description. Once again, go to Factor75.com and use the code FATAsian50 at checkout to get 50% off your first box, as well as 20% off your next month of orders. Thanks again to Factor for sponsoring this video. Now, back to the show. First on the weekend was the intriguing bout between Arsenal and Brighton, two undefeated teams to start off the Premier League season. And Arsenal gets their first real test. You could argue this is Brighton's real test. Is Man United count as a real test? Probably not. And yeah, the Seagulls are off to a hot start with their equally hot and sexy young manager.
What do you mean by that?
And early on, Brighton did pretty well to frustrate Arsenal's game. They kept Odegaard from having much joy on the ball and were able to disrupt their rhythm. But then, in the 38th minute, Bukayo Saka nudges Lewis Dunk just enough to put him off the trajectory of the ball and falls kindly for Saka, who plays it in to Kai Havertz. And Havertz, for once, doesn't fuck it up. He hits a lovely dink over an on-rushing keeper. And for as much hate as I put on this German, it was a fucking good goal. Nice goal, Kai. All right, I'll give it to you. And after that, Arsenal are now in control. That is, until early into the second half, Declan Rice gives away a free kick around the corner area, and as the Brighton player rolls the ball out to restart play, Declan Rice kind of looks down and gives it a slight toe poke, and the Brighton player just comes in and whacks the shit out of Declan Rice's shin. He plays it off as like, bro, I was just trying to kick the ball and you kicked the ball away from me. Declan Rice is rolling around on the ground like he's been assassinated, and the ref walks over and he presents a yellow, but it's not for the Brighton player. In fact, it is for Declan Rice, because when he toe poked that ball away, he apparently was preventing the restart of a game, which is, by the rules, technically a yellow card. Issue is, Declan's already on a yellow card, so, boom, red card, he's out. And Arsenal have to play the rest of the game with only 10 men. And that's not even to mention that now Declan Rice is suspended for their next matchup against their rival Spurs. Now, there's been much controversy over whether this should have been called the second yellow card. And yes, by the rules of the game, technically, he should have gotten a yellow card, but the ref should just use his common sense and give him a warning. Just say, any more of this bullshit, you're out of this game. That's what a good ref would do. But this ref was definitely the dude that reminded the teacher that we had homework. You know, that guy that's like, actually, the rules say that this is... Yeah, and this asshole goes and ruins the game. 7 minutes later, a single ball splits the Arsenal defense, and while the initial shot is parried away, João Pedro was there to go ahead and sweep up to score a second goal in as many games. And now, Arsenal in crisis. I'm like, thank you, God. Finally, we got something spicy to deflect off of Manchester United. But once again, pretty much out of nowhere, Arsenal get a chance. Kai Havertz is in, and this time, he's back to his unclinical self. But the shot is deflected only as far as Bukayo Saka, who gives it another whack. But a Brighton defender comes in and parries that away. And that wouldn't be the last chance. There's another counter. Kai Havertz puts in a low cross. Bukayo Saka is there, fully stretches out, puts it on target, but unfortunately it is right at the keeper. And those would be the best chances for the rest of the game. Mikel Arteta, to his credit, made some pretty good adjustments, and the Gunners escape with a point, which is probably an okay result here, but with Spurs and Man City on the horizon and Declan Rice being suspended, now it's a little bit of crisis time over in North London. And yeah, to drop points at home up against Brighton, a team that they should beat, is just something you can't do if you're going to try to win the league over Man City this year. Speaking of league leaders, yeah, Man City just bent West Ham over and had their way with them. 3-1. Oh, guess who scored all 3 goals for Manchester City? It's back-to-back hat tricks for 24-year-old Erling Haaland. We played 3 games. He scored 2 hat tricks. Now, come here. Do you remember just a season ago that all these pundits were trying to convince you that Erling Haaland was secretly trash? Oh, his game isn't complete. He doesn't do enough for his teammates. You know what a striker's job is? Score goals. You know who has the all-time single-season goal record in the Premier League? 24-year-old Erling Haaland. We're witnessing a prodigy, maybe the next Ronaldo or Messi of this generation. And he had a slight dip in form, and people wanted to peg him as a bust. Kids, this is another lesson. Don't fall for the psyop. This kid has been generationally good since he was at Dortmund. He's been generationally good since he put up like 7 in an international game when he was 14. Is he gonna have dips in form? Yeah, every player has dips in form. Unless you're fucking Messi. Actually, even Messi had an okay year over at PSG. And yeah, this is Man City's league. We're just all living in it. And the 1 goal that West Ham scored, pity goal. Man City felt bad for the Hammers, and Ruben Diaz put one in for them. With Brighton and Arsenal drawing against each other, that meant that Man City stays atop of the league. Shocker. All right, let's break up my depression with a couple of random notes on the weekend. Aston Villa got back to their winning ways, with Amadou Onana scoring like he's Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz who? I was doubtful in preseason, but early returns, this dude is quite the signing so far. And then John Duran playing super sub once again for the Villains. Yeah, all that preseason talk about possible regression for the Villains this year. No, early signs are saying they're here to stay. Everton finally scored a goal this weekend. In fact, they scored 2. Yeah, they went up 2-0 early in their matchup against Bournemouth, and it looked done and dusted. They were going to get their first points of the season, a big win that would put them out of the relegation zone. And this was all because of Sean Dyche's master plan. Because here's the thing. When you're -7 in goal differential and have 0 points after 2 games, you start every match with urgency. That's why they went ahead and they looked fantastic. They scored 2 goals early. But there was one problem that not many saw, but Sean Dyche saw. And that is, if Everton won here, they would claim 3 points. And that would push them out of the relegation zone. And with the international break coming up, this Everton side would have 2 weeks without the pressure of relegation breathing down their necks. And Sean Dyche could not have that. So in the 87th minute, they allowed Bournemouth to go ahead and score. And in the 92nd minute, they allowed Bournemouth to get the equalizer. And then, in the 96th minute, they let Bournemouth complete the comeback. And remember, this is Bournemouth. This is up against one of the relegation rivals. And you can see it from their fans, absolute limbs in the Bournemouth end. And all I have to say is, look at all these silly fools. They don't even know that they've fallen into Sean Dyche's trap. Because by allowing Bournemouth to win all 3 points, that will give Bournemouth 2 weeks of feeling good about themselves, lulling themselves into a false sense of security. While Sean Dyche and his men will sit rock bottom of the Premier League, now at a -8 goal differential. And for the next 2 weeks, they'll be hardening themselves in the trenches of relegation, sharpening their drive and hunger for the next 35 games of the season. 3D chess, not checkers, kids. But this is all window dressing to the most pressing random matter of the weekend. And yes, it fucking happened again. I warned the English FA and they did nothing. And now through their cowardice, another young man's butthole has been ravaged in the Premier League. And I'll say this to you, English FA. Do you do nothing about this one? Then the next young butthole is on your hands. I mean, this is the second butthole incident in 3 weeks. Something has to be done for the good of the game. We need a butthole rule in the Premier League. We have VAR, we have goal line technology. Now we need to protect young men's booty holes. But I know how slow the FA can be to act, and people will want to forget about these tragedies. But I will not let them forget. No. So I will collect evidence and show them at the end of the season. But I'm asking you guys now, the audience, that anytime you see any tomfoolery that deals with other men's no-no zones, please go ahead and send it to me for scientific purposes at thefatasian on IG, or hit me up on Twitter, so that we as a community can compile evidence. And for now, we have these 2 images, and we'll go ahead and we'll put these 2 images here. We'll just use Spurs' trophy cabinet. There's a lot of space over here. They're not using it for anything, so let's just, be productive with it. Speaking of which, Spurs versus Newcastle. Spurs are flying high, coming off a 4-0 win, but they're visiting a Newcastle team who have given them problems over the last couple meetings. But early on, it looked pretty good for Spurs. But that was until against the run play, Harvey Barnes was able to go ahead and grab the opener. Tottenham come out of the second half and do what a Postecoglou team tends to do. Attack, and attack. And eventually, after wave, Newcastle break. Nick Pope does well to dig out a James Maddison shot, but only as far as Brendan Johnson, who does equally well to put the shot back on target from an acute angle. And Nick Pope swipes it away, and it probably would have gone out of bounds. That was until Burnt tried to clear the ball and ends up roofing it into his own net. And Tottenham pour on the pressure. They get a few more chances. But once again, against the run of play, Newcastle go ahead and punish Spurs, who've been playing high line and a singular circular ball, plays in their attack. Newcastle slotted across to Isak. That's one of the easiest tap-ins of his career. And that's how the game would end. Newcastle, for whatever reason, just have Spurs number. And honestly, a tough game for the North London Chickens. They played well. They had nearly 70% of possession. They created more chances. Just Newcastle had 2 perfect counterpunches. And that is football sometimes. So as Tottenham goes into the international break, there are now going to be questions about Ainge and whether his tactics are consistent enough to make it in the Premier League. So at this point, I'm feeling pretty good. I know Liverpool, Manchester United, they're the last game of the weekend. But now we had Arsenal fuck it up, we had Spurs fuck it up, and I got my boys coming in. Chelsea versus Crystal Palace is up next. Yeah, after the baby seal clubbing of Wolves last week, it'll be interesting to see if this Jekyll Hyde behavior would continue on. And Chelsea, they deliver. They give us the classic neo-Chelsea experience, which is show us just a glimpse of that tantalizing talent. And a lovely sweeping counter movement ends with Cole Palmer putting it on a silver platter for Nicholas Jackson. And not even he could miss it from that distance. They take that 1-goal lead and just go back to being completely useless in front of net. Yeah, no copy-paste hat-trick from Manuake, who actually had 2 brilliant chances in this game and fluffed them both horrifically. Nicholas Jackson might be the best player on the planet, maybe the best player I've ever seen at getting himself to clear goal-scoring opportunities and missing. Like, he threw away 3 clear chances to win the game. And you can't even argue. He's like right place, right time. Just horrible finishing. He's like the equivalent of being the hottest man on the planet with the smallest penis on the planet. Like, yeah, you're going to get a ton of opportunities. But what's the point, really? And here's the thing. Crystal Palace, they're a decent side. And when the ball falls kindly to the top of the box, Eze runs onto it and shapes the ball perfectly past 4 on-running Chelsea defenders and the outstretched arms of their keeper. Yeah, it was some highlight reel shit for the England international. But I digress. The game ends 1-1. And Chelsea go into the break with 1 loss, 1 glorious win, and 1 frustrating draw. And this will probably be a pattern for them for the rest of the season. Buckle up, Chelsea fan. And now, I can't put it off any longer. Let's talk about the Manchester United versus Liverpool game.
Don't worry. Don't worry. I'm not gonna do what you all think I'm gonna do, which is just flip out!
Manchester United. My expectations were low, but holy fuck. You somehow keep on finding new and surprising ways to disappoint me. My only wish is that you would take half the creativity in breaking my heart and put it onto the pitch, because then we might have a working midfield. My god, you guys are like the Mozart of taking a dump on my chest every weekend. I'd be bereft if I didn't mention that people were calling this the Breaking Bad Derby. And they're saying this because Erik ten Hag looks like Dutch Eisenberg and Arne Slot looks like Dutch Hank. And now that I see it, I can't unsee it, so now you guys have to see it. As for the match, here's the weird thing. For the first 30 minutes, it wasn't completely awful. It looked nervy at times, but Man United were like kind of holding their own. But it also felt like this game is on a fucking knife's edge. And the first team that blinks is just gonna get torn to shreds. And guess who blinked first? Yeah, it was a bad blink. Casemiro, I don't know what he was thinking, just gifts refs it. He's not even in the same ballpark. Just gives the ball away to Gravenberch in an uber dangerous area. It's a 5-on-3. And Liverpool go ahead and put it to the back post where, surprise, surprise, there's no one at the back post for Man United again. We're just allergic to guarding the back post. Second goal. Guess who's at fault again? Yeah, Casemiro gets pressed off the ball. And this time, Man United have numbers back. It doesn't matter. Fantastic pass from Salah to Diaz. Diaz is just in form. It's 2-0 Liverpool. And we're not even at halftime. Oh God. Fucking A. And hello, depression. I had a summer away from you, and now you're just back in my life, and you're just here to stay every weekend. Yeah, as depressed as I was, probably not as depressed as Casemiro, who had a rough half, gets subbed off. And it was very clear in that first half, Liverpool know that Casemiro was washed, and they were just going at him. They were pressing him. They sniffed out the weak link, and frankly, just embarrassed the Brazilian legend for 45 minutes. He gave the ball away 10 times in that half. Yeah, Liverpool smelled blood in the water. So yeah, Casemiro comes off. You give this poor kid Collier his debut at Old Trafford, coming on at halftime and seeing if he could be the savior of being down 2-0 to Liverpool. And yeah, I just felt bad. That's a rough spot to come in, bro. And it changes very little. Liverpool are still in control. Man United can create very little. And to add insult to injury, our beloved star boy Kobe Mainu is at fault for the third goal. He gets punked off the ball by McAllister, shows very little effort running back into the play, and yeah, it's 3-0 for Liverpool. By that point, Liverpool kind of called off the dogs. Man United kind of grew back into the game. Xerxes had 2 chances that he completely whiffed. And I don't even blame him. It was just one of those days where nothing went right for Manchester United. And with an easy 3-0 win at Old Trafford, Liverpool actually stay pace with Manchester City atop of the league. As for Man United, this loss was devastating at every level. And I mean it, every level. Coaching, tactics, players, desire, talent, execution, fashion. In every single aspect that I can think of, Liverpool were the superior team on the day. There was this hope that Jurgen Klopp leaving Liverpool and with some of their talent aging out, that maybe, this team could fall back into mediocrity. But in 3 games, with an equally bald Dutch manager, they have looked more cohesive and played with more joy than Manchester United has with 3 years under the development of Erik ten Hag. And as we go into the international break, Manchester United are in crisis again. Yeah, Arsenal drew. Yeah, Spurs lost. Yeah, Chelsea drew. But none of them got their asses handed to them 3-0 by the rivals at home. And simultaneously, going into the international break, Liverpool, if I'm being honest with myself, are the story of the Premier League so far. They're one of the biggest clubs in the world. LeBron James is a part owner of them. And after let's be honest, a kind of disappointing farewell season for Jurgen Klopp, the signs were kind of pointing down for them at the end of last season. And then they go and sign an unproven Dutch manager. And then over the summer, have a terrible transfer window. They were chasing Zubimendi the entire summer and couldn't even get him. But now, 3 games in, they sit atop of the league next to Manchester City. And what's wild is that the team looks revitalized. They have taken to Arne Slot's system like ducks to water. And the cherry on top of this lovely Sunday for Liverpool fans is they go ahead and humiliate Manchester United at home 3-0 in front of their friends, families, and children. And after all of this, I've seen enough. Slut ball has arrived in Liverpool. Go fucking jerk off, Liverpool fans. Your team looks great. And while, during those same 3 games, all the optimism that we were feeling from the offseason, from new ownership, from all the signings, all of that for Manchester United and this new season evaporates. In 3 games, all the optimism for the entire season is pretty much gone. It's right back to same old United. I should have been ready. I said in the previous show, it's probably going to be a rebuild year. But even when you see it coming, still hurts to experience it in real time. And it's just so fucking frustrating as a Man United fan to see Arne Slot walk in and just have instant success. And then you take a look around at other leagues. Xavi Alonso, he turned around Bayer Leverkusen in a short amount of time. Hansi Flick is working wonders at Barcelona in their child labor camp right now. And then we have Erik ten Hag. And yes, I know, there are counterpoints to this. Arne Slot inherited a much better side than Eric. And then I also have to remind myself that Arsenal were patient. Mikel Arteta had 2 rough seasons with the squad looking like Magikarp. But through gaining all that experience, it would eventually evolve into Gyarados. And now they look like they're the heir apparent after Pep leaves, hopefully at the end of the season. But here's the thing. Man United fans aren't asking for us to win the fucking league or to be the heir apparent. This is how sad it's gotten for us. We just want to be back in the conversation. We just want to be relevant. We know we're miles off of Manchester City, of Arsenal. And now after this game, yeah, we're miles off of Liverpool. But the hardest pill to swallow after this loss is that it's looking like we're multiple years away, that we're 3 years away from being even in contention. After just 3 games into the season, it is a sobering, depressing, soul-crushing realization that it's most likely another year or maybe 2 to 3 years of being irrelevant. We have no place at the table. I can't talk with a Man City or an Arsenal or a Liverpool fan about what? Oh, we're gonna look good. The FA Cup? The Europa League? I'm just tired of being Spurs. This is Spurs fans. This is how you guys feel all the time. How do you guys not do drugs? And on this catastrophically depressing confession, Man United lost. So you know what time it is. Cigarette count 2. I just realized Man United are cancer. Man United were cancer before, but now Man United are literally giving me cancer. Oh God. The CEO just gave Erik ten Hag the dreaded vote of confidence. The kiss of death. Just don't say anything. Just don't say anything. What are you doing? It's 3 games in. Don't panic. I mean, we can panic. We're the fans. But you don't panic. And you're going to give the vote of confidence before an international break? We got 2 weeks to think about this? Oh my God. Manchester United, please, hire me. Hire me for your PR team. I could explain a few things to you guys. God, did they not think how this was going to look? We're getting a couple of our injured guys back after these 2 weeks. Maybe we'll finally see Ugarte. There's still a little bit of hope, all right? As depressed as I am. But the vote of confidence, the kiss of death 3 games in. Oh, now all hope is lost. Oh, fuck. All right, I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.